next thing I want to talk about here, over the, I guess it's still the week. It's only Wednesday. So earlier in the week, Mark Kaboly of The Athletic reported that Byron Leftwich, former offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl winner with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is interested in joining the Pittsburgh Steelers as an offensive consultant, has reached out, according to Kaboly, and they are, quote unquote, kind of ignoring him. Maybe not the reaction many Pittsburgh Steelers fans want to hear. Do you think that they should be ignoring him? Do you think that they should hire him? What are your thoughts when you saw Kaboly come out here and say, yeah, man, Byron's making some phone calls and Art Rooney's saying, nah, champ, not right now. Sorry.
Well, I want to know what he expected. Like, this is not a serious way to go about applying for a job. Like, this is just reaching out to your buddies and saying, like, oh, hey, do you have an opening? Like, I don't know. He would know if they had an opening. Like, this is not, I don't know. Like you said at the top of the show, like, Matt Canada was going to get fired. If they needed help at an offensive position, they would have added it. I don't think this has anything to do with Byron Leftwich being a bad coach, but I think it has everything to do with not wanting to undermine your offensive coordinator in the middle of the season when you are on, however slight it may be, an upward trajectory. So I don't really know what Byron was expecting out of those conversations. This just that's not a serious way to go about applying for a job in the NFL. Like, that's,
I don't know. It's Colin Kaepernick-ish, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, I wrote a letter to the Jets asking if they need a quarterback. Like, they know you exist, man.
And then I gave it to J. Cole so that he could give it to them because I didn't want to give it to him myself. Not that Byron, I'm not trying to back up Byron.
Well, yeah.
It's a good comparison.
But that's the thing. Like, Byron isn't even, like Colin Kaepernick's been out of the league for what, 7 years now?
Long time.
Yeah. Like, sorry, man. Like, at this point, if it wasn't happening before, it's not going to happen now after you've been out for 7 leagues. But like, Byron has a good resume. He was an offensive coordinator last year, like for a decent offense, I would say.
A playoff team,
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't his fault. Tom Brady is a noodle arm. But anyway, like it doesn't have anything to do with, I think, Byron, like the quality of him as a coach, but it has everything to do, I think, with the situation that they're in right now. And call us in May, April, whenever, after the Super Bowl.
February.
March. So call us in March and we'll see what we have open. Like, but this is just like, we have an offensive coordinator right now. We have an offensive staff. We aren't like, I'm sure they weren't like, if they weren't hiring him in over the offseason last year, like why would they think they need to add him now?
Yeah, I agree. I looked at it and just said immediately, like, it's a bad look for the Steelers when it comes to all their support of Matt Canada. It's not going to ride well. You want to hear even louder fire Canada chants. Give them an option for when they do fire him, who's going to replace him. That's the last thing that you want. And I think the bigger thing here for the Pittsburgh Steelers and why I kind of agree with them ignoring him is, look, Byron Leftwich was a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator, and you got to give him praise for that. And at the time, his offense, I believe, was like the third best offense in the league in terms of yards per game. By the time he left, his team averaged 18.4 points per game. 18.4. That's Pittsburgh Steelers if there ever was one. That is as close of a comparison as you can get. You don't want to take the chance of being the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I'm thinking the same way here. I do not want the option to go from Matt Canada to another same level as Matt Canada. It has to go up, and it has to be a significant up. Like the next offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, if it is not Matt Canada after this season, then it's got to be, I'm calling San Francisco, hey, who's left on your staff, man? Who needs a job? Because I'm going to give him an offensive coordinator job. I'm going to call whoever's the big, if there's a run game coordinator in Philly, I'm calling him. Hey, does he need a job? I got an offensive coordinator job. I'm shooting for the stars. I'm going big. I'm going the brightest names, the most undervalued talent on all of these magnificent offenses. I am not going with Byron Leftwich. Like, it's just not happening. Why would you want to risk that? Why would you want to put yourself, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers or a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, in a situation where if Byron Leftwich is here as an offensive consultant, that means if Canada's gone after the season, you want to know who the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers is next season? Byron Leftwich. And if he is just as bad as his last season in Tampa Bay indicates, and I'm not saying he is because he's had good years, but you got to go off of his last performance. And if his last performance isn't bad, and that's what you get in Pittsburgh after Matt Canada's gone, you're stuck with that for another 3 seasons. And you don't want to deal. You just did that. You don't want to do it again. You don't want to put yourself in that situation. I just say, hey, look, work with what you got, even if you don't like what you got, even if what you got isn't good, and just play the waiting game for a bigger reward, because you do not want to settle in this situation. And that's what you're going to do if you bring Leftwich on in the middle of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's predetermining who your next offensive coordinator is going to be, and that's, I don't think, a spot you want to be in at all, because, like you said, there are going to be a million qualified candidates that you could look at and vet and find the best fit for you. Because I also think they will try to go for someone younger too. Like they will try to kind of look for a future, like look for someone, like really exciting who can like work with a young quarterback and can kind of be forward thinking in the way that the NFL is moving. So, and I just don't think Byron Leftwich kind of falls under that category.
No, I agree. And I think that Omar Khan, I think that Art Rooney to a degree. I don't think of this about Mike Tomlin, but I think about the other two. I think their headset or their headspace right now is definitely more progressive than it is. This is our way. It's worked 6 times. It's probably going to work a 7th at some point. We'll stick with our way. I think they're thinking, how do we get to 7? This is how we get to 7. And I think that they would look at like I said, a more like you said, a younger option, just somebody who you're just like, this guy in 2 years could leave us for a head coaching job, which is fine. Like, you know what I mean? Because in that time, if that's what you're going to do, you've developed other pieces of your offense. You know what I mean? Already, you've developed other coaches in your offense already. These guys that are already here have grown, and then you just replace them with another offensive coordinator, hopefully that's doing the same thing. And then boom, like you get the flow. It's all about a rolling ball. You know what I mean? Get the snowball rolling, and as it goes, it's just going to keep picking up speed and keep gaining traction and keep getting bigger. Right now, it is sitting at the top of a mountain and it is not moving. You get somebody young in there, it pushes it off, and things can move. I agree. I just don't think Leftwich is the move. I don't think the Steelers think Leftwich is the move. Sorry for everybody who wanted him to be the move, but I think this is, as crazy as this sounds, especially for how we started off the show, this is the right move by the Pittsburgh Steelers to just say, sorry, pal, not this year. We'll call you next year. Probably not, but maybe. And that's the thing. If you want to hire him as an offensive consultant next offseason and still hire a different offensive coordinator, all about it. You know what I mean? Dude, that's fine. If you want to, if that's what you want, and you want him to learn from that offensive coordinator, like that's cool with me. Like that's totally fine. And if he leaves in a year, cool, but chances are he's not gonna. Like now you got 2 options. I think that's the way to go. But right now, do not give yourself a fallback plan. That is the worst idea if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Sullivan is not a fallback plan, by the way. A lot of people will toss that out there. Well, what about Sully? He'll be the play caller. Yeah, that's cool. He could be the play caller, and that's fine. He would not. I do not think there's any part of Mike Sullivan or the Pittsburgh Steelers that would look at that situation and go, well, he's our offensive coordinator next year because he took off. No, he'd just go right back to being a quarterback's coach, and everything would be fine, and they'd go from there. But no, yeah, bad move for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they make it happen. Luckily, chances are they are not going to.